Hello and welcome to my channel. If you are new, my name is Haley and I have mitochondrial DNA disease. And if you didn't know, this month, the month of August, is Gastroparesis Awareness Month. Gastroparesis is something I was diagnosed with last year. Last year I was really sick. Over the course of 6 months, my body was starting to begin to fail for multiple reasons, not just because of gastroparesis, but I thought I would say that because that way it would make a little bit more sense as I explain my experience with gastroparesis last year. And it's calmed down so much since then, and I'm so grateful. Unfortunately, there's no cures. My body I had an experimental treatment last June, and because it wasn't just the gastroparesis like I mentioned, it was a few of my other conditions as well. Gastroparesis mainly was a big contributing factor to my body failing, but it wasn't the biggest cause. I still obviously deal with gastroparesis, but like I said, it's calmed down a lot. But just because it's not as bad as it used to be doesn't mean I don't still deal with symptoms. And I'm going to get into what exactly gastroparesis is. So gastroparesis is when your stomach is partially paralyzed and it prevents proper stomach emptying. That causes a lot of symptoms. The cause of gastroparesis is unknown. Nobody really knows how people get it or develop it. There's multiple factors that can trigger it that people have had happen, but the real true cause is unknown. One of the biggest symptoms would be me feeling full after eating very little food. So over time, the amount of food I was able to consume and keep in my body became less and less. And I had extreme nausea. That is like no other. I can't convey that nausea to you. It's horrible. It's debilitating. It's not something I can just lay around in and be semi-okay. It's like I'm in a fetal position that I can't get out of. Along with that, I also had intense pain. Stomach and abdominal pain. That was the worst pain I've ever had in my entire life. Like, this pain is so bad. Nothing helps. Oh, and I forgot to mention this at the beginning. Another big symptom that I started having was a loss of appetite. That is quite normal. I learned to pick up on the symptoms of when I needed to eat. One of the biggest, by far, symptoms of gastroparesis for me last year was not being able to tolerate food. At first, I started not being able to tolerate sugary foods. They just basically went right through me. And then dairy was added into that, and it went right through me. And soon enough, basically every other type of food would just go through me, and I could barely keep anything in my body. And so in mid-April of 2016, I got my central line placed, and when I was put under anesthesia, that anesthesia actually I'm not going to say triggered, because my gastroparesis was already prominent, but it majorly contributed to gastroparesis getting super severe within a very short period of time. Within a week of the surgery, I couldn't tolerate a single thing, and I'm trying not to make this confusing, but I could tolerate some stuff before surgery, but after surgery I couldn't. And it was getting towards the end of April. We went to my doctors. They said, you are not even eating a full meal a day. You can't tolerate food. So they put me on TPN, which is total parental nutrition. It's basically liquid nutrition, everything you would get in your food. So I was on that for quite a while, and that did help. Unfortunately, it didn't help the nausea. It didn't help the pain. My stomach still felt super off. Unfortunately, that wasn't the answer. I mean, it helped my body. I'm not saying it wasn't the answer. I'm saying it helped my body be able to function somewhat, but it didn't help the gastroparesis by any means. And I also forgot to mention one of the symptoms I dealt with, which I haven't really heard anybody talk about, but I'm sure other people have experienced with gastroparesis, is sound and smell sensitivity. But if I heard food cooking on the stove, anything, if I smelt food, if I saw food, if I saw somebody eating, it made me want to gag. If I saw a food commercial, I would mute it, close my eyes until the commercial passed, because I couldn't handle it. It was just, and if people choked on their food, obviously nobody does that on purpose. That made me feel so incredibly sick. That was horrible, because until you can't eat anything, you don't realize how much the world goes on and on about food. And when you have gastroparesis and you get to a point where you can't have anything at all, that's difficult. A lot of gastroparesis patients throw up multiple times a day. Like, not 3 or 4, but 10 to 12 times a day. And that's horrible. I don't know why, but last year when I was really sick with gastroparesis, I don't know why I didn't throw up. I didn't throw up at all for those several months I was experiencing severe gastroparesis. I don't know why that is, and trust me, I tried making myself throw up. It just didn't happen. I wanted to throw up. I would take throwing up over sitting on the toilet all day, and I'm sorry if that's TMI, but that's the reality. So for treatment options, there's not very many, unfortunately. There are a few different medicines that can help your food digest. If you have gastroparesis severe enough, some people actually have gotten pacemakers for their stomach. It works just like a heart pacemaker does, but even with that, it doesn't cure the gastroparesis, and sometimes it doesn't even help at all, or it helps for a while and then it just doesn't help anymore. And I am so beyond blessed and so grateful that at this point in time, my gastroparesis is not severe anymore. It is mild, and it's going to flare up in the future. I know that. And I still struggle with some symptoms, but they're way more mild, and I'm so grateful for that, and I just wish I could heal everybody with gastroparesis. More often than not, people who have gastroparesis have to have a feeding tube, or at least be on TPN, because their body just has gotten to the point to where they don't absorb anything. And not very many people know about gastroparesis, which I think is sad. Gastroparesis is a horrible condition, and I'm sure there are so many people struggling from it that don't even know about it because nobody is familiar with it. So yeah, gastroparesis is not fun, and it's also not something to be taken lightly. So hopefully this video made you more aware of gastroparesis, and I would love it if you share this video and you share awareness about gastroparesis. Not for my personal gain, but because gastroparesis needs to be known more than it is right now. So if you have any questions about gastroparesis or anything, leave them down in the comments below. Please, again, please share this video and subscribe and like this video, and I will see you all in my next video.